folks, Ella here from Big Eddy Glass Works in Revelstoke, BC. Today we're going to learn how to make a wind chime. So get comfy, grab a cup of tea if you need to before we start, and let's make a wind chime together. Okay, let's go ahead and open our kit. Inside we have some goodies. 1 bell, 2, and 3. And this little bag. Let's take a closer look in here. Go ahead and open it up. We have fishing line. And I can see some beads. And we've got 1, 2, 3 buttons. Okay, let's move these beads out of the way for now. And we've got 3 buttons and 3 bells. What you want to do is match your buttons to the right bell. So you can see here, 1 button is bigger than the other 2. And you want to match that to the bell that has the biggest hole in the top. This one. These buttons will act as a stopper for your bell, so if the button's too small, it'll fall right through the hole in the bell. So that's why it's important to match each button up with the right sized hole in the bell. So just make sure the biggest button fits the biggest hole in whichever bell you have in your kit. So now is a good time to choose what order you might want your wind chime to be in. I've got all green bells. You might have different colors. But pick which order you would like your bells to go. So we've got our beads here. We've got a range of seed beads and larger beads. And in your kit, there might be one particularly large bead, like this one. I like to use this at the very bottom, which is where we're going to start. And we're going to use this little seed bead also. So grab your fishing line. And this is just how I like to do the bottom. You can make it up however you like to. So I'm going to thread the seed bead just through one end of the fishing line, all the way to halfway. So you can see the seed bead there, halfway. Now I'm going to thread both ends of the fishing line through the large bead. So you can see 2 ends through the 1 bead. So both ends, and pull that bead all the way down to where our seed bead is. And you can see it just rests on top of it. This will be going in the bottom bell. Okay, so the bottom of our wind chime is going to be our first bell. And you're going to want to measure where you want your bead to hang. So rough measurement from the top hole. So right about there is where I want my beads hanging. And this just gives me an idea of where I'm going to tie the knot. So you can see, tie a knot in your fishing line. And this is what the button is going to sit on. So we've got our knot. right where we want it. And now we're going to thread our button on that's the match to our bell. So I've got 2 holes in this button, 1 for each end of the fishing line. In we go. And thread that all the way down to our knot. This button will sit on the knot and it's not going to go anywhere. And now we'll thread both ends of the fishing line through the hole in the bell. And thread it all the way down so it sits right on top of our button. And you can see my bead hangs right where I want it. And that's our first bell. Now it's time to add some more beads. I'm going to tie a knot nice and close to my bell, just so that my beads sit a little bit above where my bell is. If you want to do this too, you can. If you'd like them just to sit on top of your bell, that's okay too. And this part is totally up to you. However you would like to decorate your wind chime, you go for it. I'm going to do a pattern of seed beads and put some of the larger beads in there too. And just make sure when you thread your beads on, you're threading them through both ends of your fishing line. So you can see the beads that I've added to our wind chime here. I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot just above them, just so they don't go anywhere. There we go. Okay, it's time to add our second bell. So we have our second bell and its matching button. Get a rough measurement of where we want it to be hanging. And we're going to tie our knot right about here. Oh, that's a tricky one. There we go. Okay, so our button will sit on this knot. Our matching button. An end through each hole, just like our first bell. And then we're going to thread both ends right through the middle of our bell. So now I'm going to decorate the second part just like I did the first one with the beads, while you decorate yours. So I've got my beads on here and I've tied my knot for the next button. I just wanted to show you this one because this button has 4 holes. We're just going to pick the 2 opposite holes to put our fishing line through. is a little tricky. Here we go. So you'll just thread it through the opposite holes, right down to the knot, and we're going to add our third and final bell. So we've got our seed beads left here. I'm just going to tie one more knot and I'm just going to add them to the top of my wind chime. You don't have to use all of the beads, it's totally up to you. So I've added the last of my seed beads just to the top. I'm going to tie a knot just to keep them in place. There we go. And now we're going to tie a knot in the end of our fishing line. And this will create a loop so that we can hang our wind chime up. And now make sure you hang it where everyone can see. Great job, team!